welcome to another weekly mash. We've really missed you guys and we're happy to be back. Hey Imco?
Yeah, very. It's good.
So this week Paul from our UK team went and visited Geipal Brewery.
Geipel.
Is that how you say it?
I think so, yeah. Geipel.
Geipal. Anyway.
We'll put the name down as well and then they can see.
Yeah. They are known for making an astounding Pilsner. And
very nice traditional Pilsner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And so yeah, Paul went and visited them and just got heaps of good information and will teach you how to make your own perfect Pilsner.
Yeah, so enjoy it.
We're here at Geipal Brewery, a lovely little brewery in North Wales, and we're here with Eric, who's going to talk to us a little bit today about brewing a traditional Pilsner. So, first off, in terms of the grains, do you go for like a 100% Pilsner grain bill?
Almost, yeah. I use just a normal Pilsner malt, it's a German malt, but I'd say 95% is just the standard Pilsner malt, but I do like to add a little bit of color to it.
Okay.
I prefer my Pilsner a little bit darker, so I add a bit of Munich malt as well.
Okay, brilliant. So is that purely for colour adjustment, no other reason?
Purely for color. I don't use enough of it to really affect the flavour, so
okay.
it's purely for color.
Cool, cool. And in terms of the hopping schedules, what is it that you work to here?
I do 3 additions. Most of it goes in at the beginning for bittering at about 10 minutes after start of boil. Then adjusting the boil, of course, to the time to get to the right gravity. But then about half an hour before the end of boil, I'll do another addition, a smaller one, and then the remainder goes into the whirlpool.
Okay. And what variety of hops do you use?
For mine, I'm using Perla.
Okay.
Which is a nice, it can be used as bitter and aroma. I like to keep things simple, so I just use one variety across the board.
Okay.
In all my beers.
Okay, brilliant. Now one thing I know that you do, which is quite unusual, is a decoction mash. So could you explain a little bit about what's involved in the decoction mash?
Yeah, decoction is traditional for, especially in Germany, for lighter lagers. The main idea behind a decoction is instead of heating the entire mash to the mash profile that you're trying to follow, you take a small portion of it away, or small or could be larger depending on how you're doing it, and you heat that up to a boil essentially, and then you would add that back into the rest of the mash, and that serves 2 purposes. One, of course, is it will, once you add it back in, it will raise the temperature of the overall mash to hopefully to where you want it to be. But the cooking also serves to better break down the starch so that the yeast can essentially do its job more easily.
Okay.
And brings the final gravity of the beer down that much lower, which is what you want for a good light, crisp Pilsner.
Wow. Okay, that's really interesting. Now in terms of the water profile for a Pilsner, do you make any adjustments to your water profile?
I don't. I know a lot of people worry about exactly the hardness and what's in their water. I'm more or less content to live with what I've got and adjust other things to adjust the flavor. I find that gives the beer sort of a house flavor, which will carry through to all the different varieties that are brewed there.
Yeah, I've tasted it as well, and it tastes fantastic, so I think he's very lucky with his water. Now another thing is, in terms of the boil, I think you do an extended boil time, sort of a 90-minute boil. Is that something that you've always done?
Yeah, I've always done a 90-minute boil, and I can't tell you the exact technical reasons for that, but I've found that that's worked best for me. So it's always around 90 minutes. Again, adjusting, of course, to gravities. But
yeah, so I think extending your boil time is a good experiment for homebrewers to do to see what effect that has on your beer. And in terms of the yeast that you use and your pitching rate, is this something specific to a Pilsner style, or is it a house yeast strain?
It's not. I get the yeast in from outside. There's not a specific rate that I do specifically for a Pilsner, and to be honest, I'm not that scientific about it.
Okay.
I judge. I use about 10 liters in a 1,000 liter batch, between 10 and 12. And I more or less go by eye. I don't have a full lab here,
Yeah.
so I just judge by the thickness of the slurry that I've collected. And we'll pitch, again, about 10 to 12 litres in 1,000 litres.
Okay, so roughly 1%.
Roughly 1%.
Okay, cool. And another thing that's sort of really important for lagers is the lagering process. Could you explain a little bit about what you do in terms of your lagering process here?
Yeah, I've got two different types of vessels. I use the traditional cone bottom fermentation vessel for the primary fermentation, which will go for about 10 days. And then I monitor the gravity, obviously. And for the end of the fermentation, I will chill it down from 9.5 down to about 4, which will slow the yeast right down, make most of it drop out into the cone, where I can then harvest it or otherwise get rid of it. The next step then is to transfer it over to one of my lagering vessels, which is where the lagering process takes place for between 4 or 5 weeks, depending on the type of beer you're brewing. But the lagering process tends to remove a lot of the nasty things that are in bad flavors, the DMS and diacetyl, that nice, slow, long lagering period. And at the same time, you also want to bring the temperature of the fermentation right down. I go all the way down to -1,
Okay.
just above freezing. For commercial brewers, that helps. The very cold temperature helps to stabilize the beer, which gives you a better shelf life. So it's the length of time that you lager which really affects the taste and aroma. It's the temperature that you lager at, so long as it's quite cold, which helps you with the shelf life of the beer.
Okay, thank you. No, that's a really fascinating insight into how to brew a cracking traditional Pilsner. So thanks very much for your time, appreciate it.
Thanks, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, so real nice video and makes you really thirsty.
It does.
Love Pilsner's thirst quenching. So yeah, it's nice, like how they said with the grains. What he uses, the type of grain, and then he uses the Munich, I think he said, and just for just the colour, and how you can play around with different using grains that have diastatic power for the mash, converting the enzymes and just getting your speciality malts for colour. There's so much you can do,
and like the 3-stage hopping, eh?
Yeah. So it's amazing. So yeah, hopefully you
play around.
Yeah,
when
and
brewing.
definitely, and hopefully you guys learn some good things from that about Pilsners, and yeah.
I love Pilsner.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. It's nice seeing a brewery over in the UK as well.
Yeah.
It's good seeing what the other side of the world's doing.
Yeah. Hello in the UK.
So yeah, until next week, we'll be back again.